And now, the After Action Review with Rod Rodriguez.
And welcome to the After Action Review podcast. I'm your host, Rod Rodriguez. Now, before we begin the show, normally we talk about my guest and what we talked about. I want to talk about the recent school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas. I'm a parent. I have 2 high school age kids, 1 in middle school, 2 in elementary. Whenever I see school shooting scroll down the bottom of whatever cable news channel I'm watching, my heart stops because I wonder if this is my time to take that drive to my kid's school, not knowing whether he's dead or alive. It's a nightmare that too many parents have had to live through. So my condolences to the families, to the Santa Fe community. Man, it is, it's awful. Now, I don't get political on the show. I don't. That is something that I made a commitment to a long time ago, not to get political, not to take sides on issues, because that's not what this show is about. This show is not about politics. It is about veteran business. It is about entrepreneurship and lessons learned from people that have gone forward and done this. There is a time and a place for politics. It is not on the show, I think. If that's what you're looking for, there are plenty of podcasts that are about politics. And I highly encourage you to go out there and take a listen. But it's not politics. To me, I am also a mental health professional. So when I hear these tragedies occur, I cannot help but to look at it through the lens of anything but a mental health professional. So I will offer you this. A child who is loved, who is cared for, who is empathetic, does not commit these types of crimes. So love your kids. I know this sounds hokey, man. I get it. But love your damn kids. Teach them values. Teach them empathy. Teach them ethics. Teach your child. Live those values yourself. They're watching. Your kids are watching you. And if you don't give a damn, they won't give a damn. I tell my kids all the time, you don't have to be the strongest, the fastest, or the smartest, but you definitely can be the best human possible. That's it. You can just be the best person that you can be. That is always your choice. You can always be respectful. You can always be kind. You can always be considerate. You can always be empathetic. You can always be a good person. Folks, start there. Start there. This episode is brought to you by theseabaglocker.com, delivering the freshest coffee to your doorstep 4 days from roast to cup. And you've got to try their new flavor, Defenders of Freedom. I've got this bag headed to me right now. I'll tell you, I love the Mercenary Blend. It is my favorite. Not too dark, not too light. It's like that Goldilocks zone coffee. Use promo code AAR. Get 10% off your purchase at the Seabag Locker. Go to www.theseabaglocker.com. So although we don't talk politics on the show, my guest today is a political leader, as well as a U.S. Air Force veteran. My guest is Fernando Torrez, a native of Paz City, Bolivia. He and his family migrated to the D.C. area at a very early age for the opportunity of achieving the American dream. That's pretty awesome, right? So when I went into this interview, I had some political biases. And I'll admit it, because I think you have to acknowledge that you might have political biases, that you have a bias in general in just about any topic that you're going to get into. If you want to get the best out of an interview, you want to get the most out of an interview, you have to be honest with yourself about who you're talking to and what are you bringing to the table. Now, for some of you, you're going to be a little shocked by the idea that Fernando is both a Latino and a Republican leader. This is a shock to a lot of people. They don't get it. One thing that I really appreciate about a political leader who is open-minded themselves, who is eloquent and able to talk to you. One thing I like about all that is that they help you think critically. To me, that is a mark of a real leader, is somebody who recognizes your biases, your political baggage, and they don't fight you on it. They don't tell you that you're stupid for having your ideas. You're stupid for having your beliefs, but instead they're willing to talk to you about where they come from so that you can understand them better. And that's something I don't see a lot of people do. Everything becomes an argument. Everything becomes you said this, you did that, or you're left, you're right, you're center, you're high, you're low, you're whatever. And Fernando doesn't do that. He does not play that game. He's willing to talk to you about where he comes from, why he believes what he believes, why he stands for the things that he stands for. And I think that's awesome. And he helped me understand his perspective a whole lot better. I walked out of this interview with a new lens through which I can view the world. And I hope that you walk away with the same. Before we jump into the interview, folks, I love the outdoors. I love going camping. I love doing biking and running and swimming. But sometimes you want a little extra energy boost. You don't want to dip into that gross energy drink stuff full of, preservatives. It's basically fruit flavored ant killer. So you want a delicious cup of coffee. But you're out in the middle of nowhere. Folks, the Java Can is your answer. It's an all-in-one ruggedized coffee making system that's put inside of a 50 cal, beautiful green 50 cal cans. It's all there, helps you make your coffee no matter where you're at, no matter what the environment is. Designed by Green Beret to help you brew the freshest cup of coffee no matter where you are in the world. Live life charged, folks. Go to www.thejavacan.com. Use promo code AAR. Get 10% off your Java Can purchase. And I'll tell you what, if you take a selfie with your Java Can, I'm going to send you a free bag of Seabag Locker coffee. That's right. Take a selfie, put it on Instagram, tag the AAR podcast, and I'm going to send you a free bag of Seabag Locker coffee. It is that simple. Boom. Let's make that happen, folks. Let's make that happen. All right. So Fernando Torrez, he is a board member of the Alexandria Sheriff's Office's Correctional Services Advisory Board, the Government Relations Committee for the Alexandria Chamber of Commerce, and the first Latino Commissioner to serve the Alexandria Commission on Employment, Department of Community and Human Services, and Center for Economic Support. He's a proud family man, resides in the city of Alexandria with his wife, 2 kids, and their golden retriever. Folks, Fernando Torrez.
My name is Fernando Torrez. I'm the president and CEO of Nanotech Computer Consulting. It's an IT firm that we started with $3,000, I believe, back in 2008. And I started with the ambition of helping my community, but at the same time, educating the community in the IT world. This has eventually developed into a bigger monster than anticipated. As we were talking about a second ago, it is growing hurdles that you have to go through and you never expect, but it is entrepreneurship. And some of us, such as yourself, we love it. And we hope to continue to grow and pave the way for others to come through. I'm very grateful for Alexandria because, number one, this is the one city that opened up its doors to Nanotech, to my firm. It started small, and then we grew and grew, and eventually, I've noticed there was a link missing between the people that I need to hire and those that need to be trained for the type of employment or opportunity that I was putting out there. And then I noticed I wasn't the only employer going through this situation. So I was a unique employee because I was in the IT field, but I wasn't the only employer in the situation. So I started digging more and more. And then a friend of mine said, hey, you should invest your time into a commission, help the community. And I said, well, I don't know. Did they pay? Because at that point, it was I was starting and I was trying to look for opportunities. So I said, and he told me, of course, no, they don't pay, but they do teach you a lot of skills, and then you will help oversee in opportunities for employees and employers that perhaps are going through the same problem you're running through. So I did. I joined the commission, and you get voted on by the Alexandria mayor and the city council. It was a unanimous vote, and I actually went in there and I started overseeing the operations of the Workforce Development Center, WDC. What I do is I oversee myself and along with other commissioners how we can set up a plan, set up the infrastructure for people that are just getting out of the veteran, the active duty military personnel, or those that have been employed for a long time, or for high school kids that are trying to be employed. We create that infrastructure on how we can capture these folks that are coming out into the workforce or trying to transfer into a different career path, and give them tools so they can be successful. So workforce development is not just for veterans, for high school kids, for C-level executives. It's for everyone that is trying to be employed, or for companies that are looking for employees. We become that locally anyway. We become that Monster.com or USAJobs.com. And outside of bridging that gap, when you become part of the Workforce Development Center, they give you the tools, how to resume workshops. If you're not familiar with typewriting or how to use computer, Excel. So there are a lot of motor skills that will also help you, as well as technical skills and all admin skills that they will allow you to nourish, flourish, and be successful, and then land an opportunity in employment. My father told me when we first landed in the U.S., he said, look, this is the best country in the world. In the worst day in America, any of them, it will be the best day. It will still be the best day anywhere in the world. And I think this, to this day, is true, because the things that I've accomplished, that I've done, and then the goals that I still have, I will never be able to achieve them in Bolivia. Being an immigrant in this country, that just shows you, doesn't just humble you. A lot of immigrants come over here that are doctors, engineers. My parents were entrepreneurs. They had quite a few restaurants throughout Bolivia. And they came here to install carpets. They didn't speak English. And my dad was very upset about that. He said, I cannot give you any guidance in this country because I'm installing carpets. But in a couple months, I'll be the manager for the carpet company because I know how businesses work. And you should think about the military. Even though you don't speak English, you don't have perfect English anyway, you have to think of a platform that will give you the opportunity to jumpstart your future. And that platform is probably the military. Yeah, you will deploy and you will do various tasks that perhaps you don't want to, but it will make you a man. It will make you an adult. And most importantly, you're going to pay your dues to this great nation. I said, why do I have to pay our dues? And he said, because I'm telling you, my military is my family is all military. So from Bolivia. I said, okay, I guess I'll do that. But as an immigrant, you see things two ways. As you're evolving into becoming an American immigrant. As a young immigrant, you see where to look for your community. I remember getting out of my parents' apartment and going to play soccer ball. But as you evolve, you lose interest in soccer and you start gaining interest into football because that's what's popular in America. And so that's part of you becoming and evolving an American. But it helps you because now you understand how soccer works, and now you're understanding how football works, and eventually how Football will lead you to understand baseball, hockey, and polo, and all these golf, all these opportunities that we were never able to play in Bolivia. So for the same time, job opportunities and careers. As an immigrant in America, number one, it is your responsibility to help others, because everything you've gone through, the next immigrant coming through that gate, through that airplane, whatever you want to say, will go through what you're going through. As an immigrant in this country, it's your responsibility to not to hold, and this is what something that disappoints me, not to hold your own flag when you're talking about going and when you go and boycott, for instance, against the U.S. government, and you hold your Mexican flag and you Bolivian flag. If you love your country so much, why aren't you in it? Why don't you go boycott your country and fix it yourself? You have the attitude, personality, and time to do that in a foreign country. Why don't you do that? I mean, question yourself that. Challenge yourself to think that way. But now, if you want to be as an immigrant coming over here using freedom of speech as you should, then go and boycott, but hold the U.S. flag. You know, this country is a platform that we all need to be successful. Don't go out there and hold, you know, the Mexican flag, Bolivia, whatever flag. It's wrong. If you were to do that in Bolivia, Russia, China, North Korea, you will not be alive. If you do in Peru, Argentina, but people believe that it's okay here because there's a freedom of speech. Sure, there's freedom of speech. There's nothing for me from, you know, jumping over this desk and punching you. I can, you know, or vice versa. I mean, I know you probably jiu-jitsu me, but I can. You know, that's my point. There's nothing stopping me. It's the same thing. Freedom of speech comes with a responsibility that we have now come to confuse that with entitlement. When you're burning, you're a veteran and you know how we feel about burning the flag. That has really upset me. And luckily, I haven't seen it done by immigrants, but other groups. So I'm glad to see that. And again, as an immigrant, you have to uphold that respect and fight for that dream you're trying to achieve. And because we're trying to fight and achieve that dream, we actually fight harder, sometimes better. We find alternative ways, creative ways, outside of the box thinking, because number one, we don't speak English. We don't understand the American culture. We are not fully aware how politics works, bureaucracy, corporate. So a lot of things we don't understand. So because of that, we are forced to do what? Start our own company. Because at that point, you're king of your own company. So now you still have to comply with rules and regulations, but at least you're creating your own environment. Again, why is you Americanize yourself? Because in order to be successful in this country, you have to Americanize yourself. You have to see how to be an American. You don't have to change. You don't have to forget where you came from, but instead use that to your advantage and Americanize yourself so you can understand the culture, the perception of an American community. But if you don't, you will lose yourself. We don't have a voice out there. And I don't mean someone that's advocating to pass legislation for DACA or TPS, which, DACA is for Dreamers and TPS is temporary status for, in this case, for Salvadorans. I mean, name one Latino that is local. And if you have a problem, you can go to and say, hey, look, I need you to go talk at the damn White House. And reach that far, because we're having this issue. Now, I know of two that are outside of the White House anyway. However, they are focused more on their agenda and the party line versus remembering where you came from, which is you're an immigrant. Whether you're bleeding blue or red, you still need to help your friends, your other immigrant friends. So the reason why I get involved is because I became and I'm not giving myself this title, but that's the reason why I'm in many interviews, Telemundo, Univision, Fox, and I was wondering how in the world did I end up doing this stuff. There's a guy named Frank Fanon. He He was a former city councilman here for the city of Alexandria. He's the one that was prepping me up for years and years. And I didn't know his defense. I didn't know what he was prepping me for, but he took the time and showed me. He said, hey, you want to do this, you want to do that. He was nothing to do with business. It was all on his own and for my personal growth. I didn't know that he was prepping me up to run for city council. But when the time came, he said, hey, you should think about this. And as I was, and again, not just that I had to learn English, as a young immigrant. Now, at that point, I had to learn JROTC. Then I had to learn private pilot and, the technical and complex language. Then, once I got out, I had to learn politics. And I thought once I learned English, or at least enough to speak and have a conversation, then I have to learn no more. And I keep learning more and more in different industries. So I had to learn how politics works. And now I understand why people say they're nasty. They're dirty. I've had a couple people come in here and even though I'm a Republican, people come in here and say, hey, Fernando, we know that you serve on the sheriff's office board here in Alexandria. My husband was just detained. And I said, is he in jail? And yes. Okay, what can I do? They just want to make sure they're okay. Perfect. So it takes a phone call. This is how you do it. They didn't even know how to gain access. Now, we're talking about first-time immigrants, of course, how to gain access to see their father. But also, there are people that come in here, they are so desperate that there is no one else, and they come in and say, hey, look, we're illegal immigrants. We know you're Republican. We don't want you calling ICE on us. And at that point, I'm already scratching my head. I say, well, why would I be calling ICE on you? They say, well, you're a Republican. So that's the first flag. And then I said, well, what can I help you with? And then it comes down to my friend, whoever, was, again, caught driving drunk, doesn't have any papers, and are now in legal documents, as a legal status in the U.S. So now we don't know who to go to. And everyone we go to, they're always telling us, well, you need to put a down payment, get a lawyer. So everyone we talk to, they say, hey, Fernando's out there. Go talk to him. And I don't know who's this everybody anyway, but that was their words. So I was humbled by it, but I said, sure. So I made a phone call. We went out there. And that was a hard thing to deal with. By the time I got there, the gentleman was already reported. Family crying, wife torn apart, kids. And we have kids, and there were little kids crying. It was very hurtful. But that's when I told myself, I need to keep growing. I need to keep getting higher and expand my footprint. So when this happens, I can help my community. To make sure that I'm understood correctly is, I do believe in a legal system that every immigrant should come over to the U.S. through the proper process. But if you're an illegal immigrant that's already here in the U.S., don't do stupid shit, stupid stuff. And that's what makes me angry. A lot of people right now during the problems that we're having in our political climate, they're saying, for instance, the government is shut down. And I'm not mentioning names, but the government shut down at the moment because one is saying, well, this is the president's fault, and the other one is saying, well, this is so-and-so's fault. In reality, I'll have to tell you, if DACA for Dreamers was or would have been properly addressed by President Barack Obama, then that would not be an issue today. We also need to, let me ask you this question. In what other country in the world do illegal immigrants come first before veterans, kids, resident citizens? No other country. Again, go do that in Korea, see what happens. In Peru, in Bolivia, Peruvians come over to Bolivia sometimes and they get lynched if they steal. We're 2018, they're still getting lynched. Same thing, if Bolivians go to Peru and they do something crazy, they get lynched. So a lot of the problem that immigrants are having is not having the understanding of how the political system works here. There are only two parties, two main parties, but they don't understand that, for instance, Fox is advocating for the Republicans and CNN is advocating for the Democrats. The Washington Post is advocating for Democrats, and Bloomberg is advocating for Republicans. But we don't know, and even a lot of people don't know that, that are citizens and speak English very well. So imagine if that type of people that are very intelligent and have been born in the U.S. are not aware of that. How is our immigrant community supposed to understand or even know that? So when President Barack Obama passed the DREAM Act, of course, Dreamers were more than happy, but he failed to address and pass legislation to close the gap and make this the DREAM Act a permanent, or provide a solution to a permanent path for these dreamers. Now, everyone is blaming Trump that he's racist and whatnot. We need, as immigrants, our responsibility is to educate. We come here and we work and work and work because we want to have the house, the cars, and whatnot. But now people are starting to see that if you don't take the time to educate yourself with the political system, it will affect you with your car taxes, with your trash can at home, local or federal. It will affect you, illegal or not. It will affect you. The only difference is that in this country, illegal immigrants have a voice. And the Democrats take advantage of that. Whenever you hear Democrats, you immediately think immigrants. Whenever you hear Republicans, you hear racist. But that's not correct. I think it's under every immigrant to understand and educate others, whether you want to be Republican or a Democrat, but why you need to be and study and know it. Because we have, as I mentioned, we have a large crowd of Bolivian community here, a large presence. I said, I think I'll have some Latino votes in the Alexandria City anyway, if not some support. Because I happen to dance with this community that all we do is we dance and because we want to ensure and push our heritage forward and educate others with what's Bolivia about. And not just them, but Bolivians in general. It was very disappointing to see that when I was reaching out, I would say, hey, I'm trying to get some help from you guys. Would you mind give me a minute or two to talk in front of everyone before practice or at this platform meeting? And they would say, sure. But what party are you of? What are you running for, as a Democrat or a Republican? I said, well, first of all, it's city council, it's no politics, it's local. They said, well, yeah, but, we still need to know. I said, well, I'm running as a Republican. Why? And they would simply say, well, I'll tell you what, just write a letter or tell me what you want to say. But just to be safe, I will go ahead and tell them or read out the letter that, you write. And I said, why would you do that? I can do that myself. I can go up there and talk. They said, well, Republicans are, considered to be racist. And he gave me the he and she from a couple areas of the community. They were like, well, Republicans are racist. I said, oh, do I look racist? We had a drink. We sat down together. So I'm not racist. He said, yeah, but, I just don't want to create that uncomfort atmosphere in the crowd. I said, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and leave. But, well, thanks anyway for hearing me. So I felt it, but the unfortunate aspect of it was that was in my early years. And I said, just like, you have your own dreams. You're not going to let someone shatter them. And I said, this is not going to stop me. I'll just continue to work harder and better, faster. First, we need to stop looking at it from Republicans and Democrats. We need to start looking at it as people. It's kind of like saying, well, if you're black, you're going to wear Timberlands. That's just reality. if you're Latino, we're gonna see you out with a sombrero on the street, or the Virgin Santa Maria in the back of your truck. That's not the case. We need to see people as people. So as we have extremists on the Republican Party, where did the KKK come from? People will tend to forget that stuff, and that was actually created by the Democratic Party. But we don't talk about that. So again, and I'm pretty sure that we nowadays, at least I cannot speak on the real intentions back then, but at least I know now, I can speak on during these times, that both parties are trying to come up with a solution. Solution being completely different, but they're both trying to come up with a solution. In America, I've learned that everyone has an agenda. If you don't have an agenda, you're nobody. As cold as this may sound, if you don't have an agenda, you're just nobody. You're not going to grow. You're not going to move any farther. Everyone has an agenda. So just like they say, there's no free lunch. So we need to start looking at people as, okay, so-and-so, Schumer, I'm just going to say his name, Schumer, shut down the government. Was he trying to shut down the government to make a statement for all Americans? Or was he trying to shut down the government to gain votes and look appealing to the Latino population? In reality, we don't know. But that doesn't mean that it's coming from the Democratic Party. That means that Schumer is leading that opposition under the Democratic Party. And yes, it does affect the party lines. Same thing with the Republican side. We need to differentiate between, are you a Trumpist? Are you a Republican? Or are you an independent guy? So people are missing that center, that medium. And what's obligating them to see that way is media. Media just completely takes it out of control. So the media has the bigger responsibility, and hence the reason why President Trump is now using Twitter to just go straight to the people. So I do challenge, to answer your question, the both Democrats and Republicans, or anyone that is willing to talk anything about any of my communities, which are the veteran community, because I do run into those, and I'm going to say idiots that say, oh, well, you wrote the check to the government. We didn't ask you to do it. I know, because I felt patriotic. And then the worst ones are to say, well, you're an immigrant. How can you feel patriotic? And that's when I just want to choke them with the American flag. But so I do, I do challenge the veteran community, the Latino community, any social economic community, the business a lot. As an immigrant pushing Nanotech, a cyber firm, which we started with the break fix computer repair shop. Now we're pushing for government contracting. It's been a challenge, and it all takes and develops from which hat am I going to wear today. So it's not easy being an immigrant, but at the same time, it does give you that extra set of tools, which give you your competitive advantage that no one else can match up to. You got to start somewhere, right? When we all decided to join and put in our time in service, we just made a decision and jumped, right? Now, some of us jumped with a parachute. No, the other ones kind of did it. And what I mean is, you need to make sure and understand that if you're going to make that commitment to help the community and pursue, as I said, your agenda, you understand the commitment you're getting yourself into. It's just like, and a lot of veterans, I wanted to add, approach me, not just the political side, but a ton of veterans I know and approach me because they also want to start their businesses. So this goes out. First, I'm going to give advice, a humble advice anyway, regarding how to get involved in government. How do you change the government? How? I mean, that's a huge question. How do you do it? When you think of government, you're probably thinking Donald Trump, the White House. I mean, when I think of government, usually the first thing that comes to my head is the Air Force logo. I don't know why, but I always think of that. But a lot of us are wrong. How do you change the government? Is you start local, but you get yourself involved. Now, don't get involved and have a taste of it and say, hey, I'm going to run for this or I'm going to do that. And next thing you know, you're not even there. People will literally not take you serious. And then you will just be a joke to yourself. So whatever reputation you were trying to build, it's already destroyed. And you don't even have one to destroy yet. So number one is, as I said, if you're going to jump, make sure you have that parachute strapped very well. Because when you land, man, it's going to be hard. If you wish to change the government, you need to associate yourself with those that are able to going to become a platform to you. Join a board, join a commission, open up yourself to opportunities that you would never think of, and give yourself a chance. For instance, there may be a commission on towing enforcement, if I'm not mistaken, here in the city of Alexandria. I don't know what that commission does, to be honest. I mean, I think the name says it all, but it's an opportunity for you to get in there and understand how that, number one, how a public forum works, because there is a proper agenda, just like in any corporate meeting that you have to follow. There's a specific protocol. You start the meeting, you close the meeting. You have to at least know that very basic. After that, because you've been the longest member in that commission, you may become the chair of that commission. Now, all of a sudden, you have 10 people underneath you. And next thing you know, now you're ready to achieve bigger dreams. You may want to run for delegate. If you don't want to run at all and you just want to affiliate yourself on making positive changes, same thing. If there's an opportunity to volunteer to clean up your city, volunteer. But make sure where you are putting your time. If you want to get yourself involved in the political arena, then you need to be involved with political organizations that will open up the doors to you. Don't go volunteer for an organization that is a for-profit and that has nothing to do with politics. Surround yourself with success. I have mentors. I don't mind talking to arrogant people. To me, arrogant is a sign of confidence. Simply because if you're going to be arrogant about it, then I expect you to tell me why, what you have done, what you have achieved. And if you have achieved and you own X, Y, and Z, or you done millions of dollars, or you changed the world, hey, hats off. Then okay, to me, you by all means be arrogant. You earned it. But you need to know where to be arrogant. You cannot just come across and be arrogant simply because you put in time and service, especially if you were in the Air Force, because we know everyone is smart in the Air Force. It's just a joke. But you need to know where to do that. Your arrogance should not be a imposer. It should be a way for people to look up to you, so you can continue to pave that way. For small business owners or business owners for veterans that are trying to transition into that business mentality, we gotta tell you, guys and girls, we got it. So we have what it takes to open up a business. We have the posture. You don't break. I forgot. You don't the word for it. While you are in flight formation, while you're doing inspection, you don't break your bearing. You keep your composure. You don't break ranks. And what you do is what they teach in the military. Everything that I've built, I will honestly tell you, everything that I'm building here out of Nanotech is off of the Air Force. The Air Force manual, Air Force regulation, even my chain of command is out of that. When we used to call it a threat con. Your supervisor is supposed to call you, and then you call down the chain. My guys are trained the same way. So everything I'm doing, the way I'm building Nanotech, is off of the Air Force. The Air Force gave me everything that I am, everything who I am. The house that I'm living on is thanks to the military. So those that are thinking about joining the military, I think it's the greatest. And we should all serve at least 2 years to understand what veterans go through. And finally, I can tell you what I'm most humbled about is having the opportunity to look at the flag. Even, man, sometimes I cry. I'm listening to the anthem. And I thought I was the only one because I was weird. Next thing you know, I see my friend. He's tearing. I'm like, why are you such a fag? Why are you crying? He's like, look at your eyes. They're watery. So, and it was because of the anthem, and look at the colors of Nanotech. Where do you think they came from? The U.S. flag. All the colors. So it's very patriotic, and you actually understand and you appreciate, when you deploy, you come back and you see those veterans kissing the floor, the ground. That was me. I kissed the hell out of the ground. I French kissed the floor when I came back. So it's something that we all should serve and understand, and perhaps that will educate all Americans that freedom is not free.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Fernando Torrez. I love hearing the story of immigrants. They bring energy. They bring a sense of purpose to their lives here in the United States. It's remarkable. It is a true story of the American dream to hear what Fernando and his parents, the life that they carved out for themselves from the freedom that is afforded to them by the United States of America. And because of that, they have this appreciation for this country, a profound love for the system that has given them so much, and they continue to give back. They continue to give back. Make sure you check out nanotechcomputers.net. That is Fernando Torres' company. They're a computer IT security web company. They provide solutions for all of your IT needs. Again, that's nanotechcomputers.net. And guys, get involved. Get involved in your political world. Like he said, you can start small. It doesn't have to be huge, but get involved. Make a difference in your community. It is as simple as just getting out there, getting involved. That's it. Start there. Folks, thanks for joining me for this episode. Episode 45 is quickly approaching. Episode 45, that's going to be with Mikal Vega. He is the military advisor for the show The Brave on NBC. And that episode is coming to you this Thursday. So, boom. Really excited about that one. That was a great episode, too, that I had with Mikal Vega. That got pretty personal. Not going to lie, man. I got really, really involved in that conversation. And you're going to love it. It's a great show. Mikal Vega this Thursday. And that is episode 45, folks. I will see you. Oh, before we go, let's pay some bills. This episode was brought to you by theseabaglocker.com. Folks, this is some legitimately delicious coffee, fresh cup of coffee that you should be drinking at home. Veteran-owned business, naval veteran-owned business. This coffee is fresh. We're talking roast to your cup in as little as 4 days. The freshest cup of coffee you're going to get this side of the 7 seas, delivered right to your doorstep. Seabaglocker.com. Use promo code AAR. Get 10% off your purchase of Seabag Locker coffee. Just go to seabaglocker.com. Use promo code AAR. Get 10% off your purchase of the Seabag Locker coffee. Now, folks, I love coffee. I love the outdoors. I love doing all sorts of stuff outdoors and biking, hiking, and all that wonderful stuff. Guys, you got to get yourself a Java can. I love my Java can. I'm going to start taking more pictures with it because it's something that, I really need to do because I use the hell out of it. And basically, it's an all-in-one coffee brewing system. It's inside of a 50 cal can, and you can take anywhere you go, throw it in your car, and no matter where you are, you can brew the freshest cup of coffee. And of course, you know what coffee I'm brewing. I'm brewing Seabag Locker coffee. But just go to thejavacan.com. It is an amazing all-in-one ruggedized coffee brewing system designed by Green Beret to help you brew the freshest cup of coffee anywhere in the world. Live life charged. Use AAR. Use promo code AAR. Get 10% off your Java can. Take a selfie. Here's the other thing. Take a selfie with your Java can. Tag the AAR podcast. I'm going to send you a free bag of Seaback Locker coffee. Boom. That's it. That does it for this episode of the AAR podcast, folks. I will see you at the next episode.